They looked at you and thought your silence meant you had nothing left to say. They assumed your quiet steps were signs of weakness, that your stillness meant you were finished, broken, or defeated. But what they never understood is that silence is not weakness. It is power in its most concentrated form. It is the gathering of storms before the rain. It is the sharpening of a blade in the shadows before the battle begins. You carried yourself with patience while they laughed, while they whispered, while they assumed your story was over. Yet every second of quiet was not surrender. It was preparation. In moments where the noise of the world wanted to drown you out, you chose silence. Not because you had nothing to respond with, but because you were aligning yourself with something greater. Your silence held wisdom. It held strength. It was in those unspoken words, in the pauses that no one understood, that the seeds of your future were planted. They mistook your calm for emptiness, but deep down, you were storing energy, waiting for the perfect moment to rise. They saw weakness, but what they were truly looking at was resilience disguised as stillness. And now, those same people who once dismissed you are beginning to notice the shift. They feel the energy surrounding you. They sense that something within you has changed, that the very silence they mocked has transformed into unshakable power. They don't yet know the full measure of what you carry, but they will soon witness it. For the truth is, silence is often the language of the chosen, the ones set apart for something greater, something divine. While they made noise, you listened. While they rushed ahead, you waited. While they scattered their energy, you focused yours. And now, the results will speak louder than any voice ever could. The weight of silence has always been misunderstood. Some people think it's an absence of courage, but in reality, it is the courage to restrain, the wisdom to hold back, the faith to believe without proving. Your silence has been your greatest protection, your shield in the midst of chaos. When they wanted you to react, you chose not to. When they baited you into battles, you refused to waste your energy. That choice, over and over again, built within you a force stronger than their doubt, stronger than their disbelief. You are proof that silence is not the absence of strength, it is the refinement of it. Even in the quiet, the universe was listening. Every tear shed in silence, every prayer whispered in the dark, every moment of pain that no one else saw, it all carried weight. Nothing was wasted. The silence you endured was not empty. It was sacred ground where your destiny was being shaped. And while they thought you had lost, you were secretly being prepared for the victory they would never see coming. This is the truth. Those who underestimated you will be the first to be shocked when the silence breaks. The very same people who said you were weak will watch as your strength unfolds before them. Your rise will be undeniable. Your breakthrough will not just be heard, it will echo, shaking the very foundations of the doubt they placed on your name. They thought silence meant defeat, but they are about to learn it was the signal of a powerful beginning. You have been walking this path with a quiet strength that very few could ever understand. The world doesn't always value silence because it cannot measure what it doesn't see. But chosen ones are different. You've been moving in shadows, letting your heart align with timing that isn't controlled by others. And now, as your energy begins to shift, people are starting to notice without even knowing why. They see the light forming around you, the quiet confidence, the grace in your silence. They feel something different when you walk into a room, even when you don't say a word. And soon, the very silence they mocked will become the sound of your triumph. Before we continue, I want to remind you, stay with me until the very end of this message. There is power in receiving the whole word, and there is power in giving back to the universe. If you feel this message resonate in your soul, I encourage you to type your most heartfelt wishes in the comments, along with the number 777. That number is not just a symbol, it is alignment. It is divine timing. It is completion. Your wishes matter, and when spoken with sincerity, they echo into the universe with a vibration that cannot be ignored. Take this moment to believe again, to declare what you are ready to receive, because what you've lost, what was taken, will not only return, but multiply in ways you never imagined. And if this message stirs your spirit, remember to subscribe, so we continue walking this path together. They thought your silence meant you had nothing left to fight for, but what they missed is that silence gave you clarity. In the stillness, you were able to hear yourself again, to listen to the voice within that told you not to give up. They didn't see the nights you sat in silence, gathering your strength. They didn't hear the prayers whispered in the dark. They didn't feel the fire you were building within. But silence has always been the soil where destiny grows. Just like the seed that must first be buried in silence before it pushes through the ground, you too have been planted, not buried. You were hidden, but only for a season, because the time of growth is arriving. Do not think for a moment that your silence was wasted. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't defeat. It was divine orchestration. You were kept hidden to protect you, to refine you, to strengthen you for the moment ahead. And the truth is, those who mocked your quietness will not understand how you're about to rise so loudly. They won't know how to explain the sudden turn in your life, the doors opening, the blessings flowing, the opportunities aligning. They will wonder how you endured, how you survived. But you'll know the answer. It was in the silence where you became unshakable. Understand this. When people misjudge your silence, it's because they project their own fears onto you. They believe if they were silent, they would be powerless. But you are not them. You are different. You carry a strength that doesn't need to scream to be heard. Your spirit speaks louder than any words ever could. And those who doubted you will soon have no choice but to witness the manifestation of everything you carried in silence. The moment is coming when silence will turn into sound, when weakness will be revealed as power, and when your story will inspire even those who never believed in you. There is a point in every chosen one's life when the silence you carried begins to speak louder than the noise around you. That point is closer than you think. The ones who overlooked you are beginning to feel uneasy without knowing why. They sense that something is shifting, that the one they assumed was powerless has been quietly aligning with destiny. And as this energy rises, the very people who took you for granted will have no choice but to acknowledge what they once denied. Because silence was never a sign of surrender. It was the shield that protected your process. The truth is, they wanted you to fight battles on their terms, to waste your voice on arguments that would only drain you. But your wisdom told you otherwise. You understood that every seed grows in silence before it blossoms. You chose not to waste your energy trying to convince people who were never meant to understand. And in that decision, you preserved your strength. You refuse to lower yourself to the noise of doubt, gossip, or betrayal. Instead, you poured your energy into healing, into building, into preparing for the moment when you would rise on your own terms. And now, that moment is nearly here. You may not see the full picture yet, but your silence has already been working in your favor. It has kept your vision clear, your spirit steady, and your path uncluttered. You are not late. You are right on time. The people who misjudged you don't realize that every step they counted against you was actually setting the stage for your breakthrough. They thought you were falling behind, but you were being positioned. They thought they were ahead, but they will soon see how divine timing works. What looks like delay is often the greatest protection because it keeps you from settling for less than what you are meant for. Every quiet night, every moment of stillness, every time you held your tongue instead of defending yourself, it was not weakness. It was training. It was sharpening your focus, deepening your strength, teaching you endurance. And now, when your season of breakthrough arrives, you won't just step into it. You will walk into it with the confidence of someone who has been prepared in silence. People will wonder how you managed to endure without breaking, but they will not know the private battles you fought. They won't understand the nights of tears, the days of restraint, the countless times you chose patience over reaction. But they will see the results. Understand this clearly. Your silence was never empty. It was filled with prayers, dreams, and visions. It was filled with growth, healing, and divine alignment. And now, that silence is becoming a roar. Your victory will not just be seen, it will be undeniable. The same ones who once whispered that you were finished will whisper again, but this time in awe of how far you've come. They will call it sudden, but you will know it was years in the making. You waited, you endured, and you trusted the process. Now, destiny is ready to reveal what silence has been preparing all along. There comes a moment when the silence you carried begins to shift. It no longer feels like simply holding back your words. It begins to radiate as a quiet power that others can sense even before they understand it. People around you may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. Something in you has changed. What they once saw as weakness now feels like stability, like an unshakable presence. That is the paradox of silence. Those who underestimated it will one day recognize it as strength. Your stillness has been building weight, like a mountain slowly forming through years of unseen pressure. The surface may have looked calm, but deep inside, foundations were being set. And now, what was invisible is about to break through the surface. When you step forward in this new season, people will no longer see silence as absence. They will see it as proof of resilience. They will remember the days they mocked your restraint, but they will also see how that same restraint allowed you to grow without distraction. What was once called passive will be revealed as purposeful. You must understand something important. Not everyone has the courage to remain silent in the face of provocation. Many people feel the need to respond, to explain, to prove themselves. But you chose a different path. You chose not to waste your energy on proving anything to anyone. You trusted that truth would reveal itself in time. And now, time is finally on your side. What once looked like you holding back will soon look like you were simply waiting for the right stage to step into. The patience they mistook for hesitation will be seen for what it truly was: wisdom. Do not be surprised when the same people who dismissed you begin to approach you differently. They will speak softer. They will hesitate before underestimating you again. Because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. The very thing they thought stripped you of power will be the very thing that commands it. And while they wonder how you changed so suddenly, you will know the truth. You were changing all along, but only those with vision could see it. Your silence was the soil, and now your results will be the harvest. And when that harvest comes, it won't be quiet. It will be loud, undeniable, and overflowing. Those who thought you had nothing to show will be confronted with blessings they cannot explain. They will try to understand how someone they considered fragile could stand so tall. But they won't realize that silence was never emptiness. It was focus. You weren't avoiding the fight. You were choosing the right one. You weren't weak. You were preparing. And now what you've been preparing for is about to rise before their eyes. So let them wonder. Let them replay the times they misjudged you. Let them question how they missed the signs. You don't need to explain yourself, because your results will speak in a language they cannot ignore. Every dream you held close in silence, every prayer you whispered when no one was listening, every tear you cried alone, it is all about to translate into something undeniable. And when it does, no voice raised against you will be able to drown out the sound of your breakthrough. The silence they mocked is becoming the power they respect. There is a point in every journey when the tables begin to turn, when the balance shifts, and what was once hidden in the shadows steps fully into the light. You have been waiting patiently, not because you had nothing to offer, but because you understood that the right moment matters more than the loudest noise. And now, that moment is approaching. Your silence has ripened into power, your restraint has matured into influence, and the very things they ridiculed will soon be the very things they admire. You see, those who mistook your quietness for weakness never imagined what was happening beneath the surface. They didn't see how you were gathering wisdom while they wasted energy. They didn't notice how you were stacking strength while they burned out chasing temporary validation. And they will never fully understand how your hidden sacrifices have become the foundation for your next level. What they missed is this: the strongest storms are not announced with noise. They build quietly until the sky can no longer contain them. That is who you are, a storm of purpose that has been silently gathering force. Soon, the silence they mocked will explode into a sound they cannot ignore. Not because you will raise your voice, but because your results will roar louder than any words could. Every step you take will be a statement. Every door that opens will be an answer. Every dream that begins to manifest will serve as evidence that you were never weak, never forgotten, never behind. You were simply aligned with a higher timeline, and when that alignment reveals itself, no opinion, no doubt, no enemy can stand against it. The truth is, their disbelief was never about you. It was about the limits of their own vision. They couldn't see beyond the surface. They couldn't imagine strength being built in silence. They couldn't comprehend that patience could be more powerful than aggression. But now, they will be forced to confront a reality that challenges everything they thought they knew. They will watch as you step into spaces they never believed you belonged in. They will hear your name in conversations they thought you were excluded from. And they will see with their own eyes that the silence they mocked was the preparation for a victory far greater than anything they expected. This season, every move you make will echo louder, because it will carry the weight of every moment you held back. The foundation you built in obscurity will give you stability in the spotlight. While others chased recognition, you chased growth. While they sought applause, you sought alignment. And now the difference will be undeniable. You will not just rise, you will rise with a depth and strength that noise alone could never achieve. That is why your breakthrough will not just be noticed, it will be respected. Do not waste your time trying to convince anyone of who you are. You don't need to defend your silence. You don't need to justify your patience. Your proof is coming, and it will be undeniable. Those who doubted you will regret their words. Those who walked away will wish they had stayed. Those who laughed at your quiet endurance will bow to the reality of your loud victory. This is the season where silence transforms into sound, and weakness becomes the greatest display of strength. The turning point has already begun, even if you can't see the full picture yet. Small signs are showing up everywhere. Doors opening where they once seemed locked. Conversations starting in your absence. Opportunities appearing in ways you never expected. These are not coincidences. These are the results of the silent work you've been doing while no one was watching. The world is finally catching up to what you have known within your spirit all along. You were never weak. You were preparing. Think about it. Every moment of restraint you showed was actually shaping your discipline. Every time you chose silence over reaction, you were building emotional strength. Every season of waiting was forming a deeper foundation. And now, as you step forward, people will begin to realize that your silence wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. They will see that you were not absent. You were aligning. And alignment always brings power. This is where your story shifts from being questioned to being undeniable. No one will be able to look at your rise and call it an accident. It will be too clear, too intentional, too precise. The very ones who once doubted will be left without words, watching as every stone they threw becomes the very material you stand on. Your silence has turned into strategy, and that strategy is producing a strength that noise could never bring. Life has a way of testing us in silence. The quiet seasons can feel the heaviest because there are no cheers, no recognition, no applause, just you, your persistence, and your belief that something greater is coming. And yet, it is in those quiet seasons that the most powerful transformation occurs. You've walked through the shadows with your head unbowed. You've endured the doubts, the whispers, the assumptions. But in enduring them, you've built a strength that can now hold the weight of destiny. The beauty of this moment is that you don't even have to force it. You don't have to prove anything with words. You don't have to demand attention. The results of your patience will speak for themselves. Every step forward will be a reminder to the world that silence is not weakness. It is preparation. And those who confuse the two will finally understand the difference. They thought you were done, but you were just beginning. They thought you had nothing left, but you were only storing energy. They thought your silence meant defeat, but it was actually the quiet before your greatest storm. And now, as your life begins to unfold in ways that surpass their imagination, they will be forced to accept what they once denied. That you were chosen for this, built for this, destined for this. So, embrace this moment. Don't shrink back. Don't dim your light. Don't let old doubts hold you down. You've waited long enough. This is your season to walk boldly, to let your actions reveal the truth, and to show the world that silence is not the end. It is the beginning of everything they never saw coming. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey where silence turns into a roar, not because you raised your voice, but because your results echoed louder than any words could. That moment is here for you. The patience you carried, the quiet endurance, the inner strength, these things are no longer hidden. They are manifesting in ways that no one can deny. You see, those who once overlooked you thought that ignoring your presence meant erasing your potential. They thought your quiet seasons were the end of your story. But life has a way of proving them wrong. In the very places they dismissed you, doors are now opening. In the spaces where they doubted you, opportunities are rising. Your silence has been transformed into a sound too powerful to be contained, and that sound is your victory. What they never realized is that silence has always been a strategy for the strong. It's not the absence of power, it's the gathering of it. While they spent energy underestimating you, you were preserving yours. While they wasted time in noise, you were focused on growth. And now the balance is shifting, because the one they thought was weakest is the one life is lifting the highest. This is the beauty of divine timing. Everything that seemed delayed is aligning right on schedule. Every rejection that stung is now turning into redirection. Every closed door is being replaced by one that opens wide and leads you to where you truly belong. And the same people who once labeled you as unimportant will be forced to acknowledge that you were destined for more than they could comprehend. The powerful truth is this: you don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to argue. You don't even need to explain. Your growth speaks for itself. Your strength is evident in your survival, your progress, your determination. You are no longer in the season of explaining. You are in the season of demonstrating. And demonstrations speak louder than words ever could. Look back at how far you've come. Think of the moments you almost gave up, the times you cried in silence, the nights you wondered if the struggle would ever end. Now look at yourself, still standing, still fighting, still moving forward. That resilience is your victory. That persistence is your crown. They thought silence was weakness, but in truth, it was the foundation of your unshakable rise. There is something powerful about the quiet rise of a chosen one. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to prove anything through endless arguments. Instead, you carried your vision in silence, and now the results are speaking for you. The world underestimated you because they confused quietness with weakness. But today, your silence has turned into the loudest proof that nothing and no one can hold back what was meant for you. This is not just the ending of a season, it is the beginning of your legacy. Every step you took in the shadows was building a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of your future. Every tear you wiped away in private was watering the ground for blessings you are now stepping into. Those who thought your silence meant surrender will now see that it was strategy, patience, and divine preparation. What you must hold on to now is the truth that you no longer need to wait for anyone's validation. Your victory is not about their applause. It is about your growth, your resilience, your faith, and your perseverance. They may not admit it openly, but your rise has already silenced their doubts. And that is the sweetest victory of all, not to prove them wrong with words, but to let your very existence prove them wrong with undeniable reality. So step forward with confidence. This is your season to shine, not because you tried to force it, but because you allowed the process to shape you into someone unshakable. You endured, and now you will enjoy. You were silent, but now the sound of your triumph will echo louder than you ever imagined. Your story is a reminder to anyone listening. Silence is not weakness. It is power under control. And when that power finally reveals itself, it shakes everything around it. That is who you are now. You are proof that patience is strength, that silence is strategy, and that every chosen one eventually rises in undeniable victory.